I'd like to call the meeting to order. If we could all rise to the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're ready for roll call.
Kevin Brightsky.
Here.
Bob Gillian.
Here.
Greg Kenworthy.
Here.
Pamela Mishnick.
Here.
Ed Morales. Here. Red Stone. Here. Luther Williams. Vicky Witkowski. Rick Burns. Also present. Mike Jacob. We have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. Any correspondence?
We have no correspondence.
Okay, we'll move on to new business. We'll move to case MJ-2024-1, Captain A. Granham Living Trust. This is a primary plat approval for a 5-lot major subdivision.
Good evening. My name is Todd Leith. I'm here on behalf of the petitioners. In this case, this is a primary plat for a major subdivision that isn't so major, and I'll explain as we go through. The property in question is approximately 53 acres. It's like 52.92 acres if you're counting precisely, and is located just on the south side of County Road between 50 West and 100 West. It's zoned A1, which is your agricultural, one of your agricultural districts. Thank you. I knew that wasn't working. Now it is. So it's zoned agricultural. So the Branham family is doing this major subdivision. This property for many years was the family farm, previous generation's farmland. The current owners, the current generation have no farmers, so they're divesting of this asset of their family, and in order to do that, they want to sell a land. And they're doing that by parceling it off into 10-acre parcels for a subdivision that complies with the zoning. The A1 zoning has a minimum lot size of 10 acres. And so this 53 acres is being divided into 5 lots. It's a challenged parcel. It has a pipeline easement that runs through it. There's some undevelopable, unbuildable soils on the parcel. But because the lots are so large, we have plenty of good soils for home construction and the septic systems in the area. So the parcel looks like that in the red, the 53 acres, and the family owned the blue and the yellow and parceled those off from what was referred to under your ordinance as the parent parcel. In other words, it was in 1994, where your ordinance takes a snapshot of ownership. It was all owned by the Branham family, by the trust, all of that land. We've sold off those 2 previous parcels legally, but what that does is it makes us now, when we come in for this subdivision, we can't use the minor subdivision rules. We have to use the major subdivision rules. So that's why we're here for a major subdivision, and that's what the plat looks like in that oddly shaped parcel. We have 3 parcels that are long and skinny and run from north to south, and then the 2 western parcels, one faces to the west, has access to County Road 100 West. The other parcel faces also to the north, but doesn't go all the way through. You can see there, if I can maybe use my handy dandy fancy laser pointer right through here is the pipeline, and the bad soils are in the back as well. So, we've done quite a bit. We came here to you earlier and received a design waiver, actually 11 of them, so that we could have this review done in a manner that is more like a minor subdivision than a major subdivision. This isn't, 60 lots on 50 acres. This is a pretty rural, agriculturally zoned subdivision, so we don't need to study the entire watershed and drainage. We don't have to have interior roads. We don't have to have street lights. All of those things that are those 11 design waivers, you were gracious enough to grant. So now we appear in front of you with a major subdivision that feels and looks like a minor subdivision, frankly, as it should. Because it's a major subdivision, we did go to the Stormwater Advisory Board and then followed to the Stormwater Management Board. The finding there was that the infrastructure that is virtually nil would be owned privately and maintained privately by the owners. The county is not assuming any drainage obligations. And then lastly, we were at DRC for an informal review on November 6th. Staff, of course, reviews all of these, and we received clearance letters from the engineering review and the planner review as well. So I believe that the plat is in order under the Unified Development Ordinance, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have or those that come from the public hearing. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to open it up to public comment. Do you want to read the...
Sure, we can do that. So for tonight's meeting, we're going to have a series of public hearings, so this applies to all. At a public hearing before the commission, the petitioner or proponent shall first present the facts and arguments in support of the case. Those who oppose the petitioner shall follow. The petitioner shall have rebuttal. It shall be within the discretion of the commission to impose any time limitation, either the petitioner or the respondent, and to limit public comment to those determined by state statute to be interested parties. Written remonstrances shall be accepted by the commission, but need not be read into the commission's record. This then concludes the public hearing. To maintain orderly procedure, each side shall proceed without interruption by other. In presentation of a case, the burden shall be upon the petitioner to supply all information necessary for a clear understanding of the problem. The commission may continue the hearing when, in its judgment, the petitioner has not provided sufficient evidence on which to make a determination. Every person appearing before the commission shall abide by the order and direction of the president. Discourteous, disorderly, or contemptuous conduct shall be regarded as a breach of the privileges of the commission and shall be dealt with as the commission directs. And I would add that anybody speaking, we have microphones here and over there. Please state your name and address and your questions on the petition.
Do you have any comment before we go to the public comment?
Everything he provided was accurate, the DRC especially. We worked out some things such as the roadside swales and the culverts under the driveway. I believe that was satisfied to the county highways engineer's satisfaction. And as far as Lot E goes, when it comes time for them to apply permits, they may need more soil borings because they are bisected on that pipeline, and that pretty much covers that.
At this time, I'd like to open up to public comment. Is anybody here that wants to speak for or against this project? If you want to take the microphone.
State your name and address.
Right here.
Just right over here.
Right here, here you go. You can pick it up.
Yeah, my name's Pete Boyko, and I live on 235, 600 West. I just got a question on the zoning. Since his property is zoned for agriculture, now, when he goes to a platform set up, does it have to be rezoned?
We'll go ahead and answer that.
Okay.
Once everybody's done.
Just one, thank you.
Yep. Is anybody else, any pro or against, would like to speak? At this point, we'll go ahead and close the public comment. Kevin, do you have any comment? Or we got it?
You can answer the question.
Yep.
Yeah, so the A1 zoning classification does permit residential dwellings, single-family detached dwellings. The minimum lot size in an A1 is 10 acres. So we all have 5 lots here shown, and each one of them is 10 acres or more. So we meet the zoning ordinance use requirements for the lots, both in lot width, lot size, and use.
Kevin, do you have any comment?
No, other than I agree with the attorney. That's why we have the Unified Development Ordinance for various zonings. It gives the stipulation for building setback, lot size, et cetera. This would comfortably fit in. I have no issues with it. I've seen this so many times between all the different boards, but I think we pared it down to getting all the issues and our concerns addressed from a technical standpoint. But also, I think it's probably the best and highest use of this particular piece of land at this point.
Rick?
I don't have anything.
Pam?
No questions.
Craig?
I have no questions.
Commissioner?
None.
Anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the primary plat for Branham Living Estate, Branham Meadows Major Subdivision, MJ-2024-1.
I'll second it.
Mr. President, for the record, since we're recording from the room recording, we cannot get the equipment to run for a live stream,
Okay.
so that's the reason, technical difficulty. But it is being recorded and will be posted on the website afterwards.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry. First time we got
In case number MJ 2024-1, the votes are as follows. Kevin Brightsky, yes. Bob Gilliam, yes. Craig Kenworthy, yes. Pamela Misherfish, yes. Ed Morales, yes. Red Stone, yes. 6-0, motion passes.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas.
Thank you. We'll move on to case D0-2025-31, Sean Matheny, 550 South, 450 West in Valparaiso, to rezone a parcel of land to rural residential from the proposed for the purpose of a single-family residence.
Good evening, everybody. Kevin Poros, Smith and Associates, 952 South State Road 2, Valparaiso, Indiana, 46385. Here representing Sean Matheny on this property. He'll be here to also answer any questions you guys might have. I don't have a beautiful PowerPoint like this fancy attorney ahead of us. Inside jokes are abound in there. So what we're here to ask you guys is for rezone recommendation favorably to the Commissioners Board on the piece of property formerly probably recognized by most as Waterfowl USA, of which the Matheny family has owned for a couple decades, I believe, 7 or 8 years. almost a decade, I suppose. We had a pre-app meeting with Mr. Jabo and Ms. Hale back in end of October, beginning of November. We discussed some options on this property. With it being in the family, there was always intent to build on this parcel of land where probably really the east half of these two quarters reside, and it was ended up scrapped by the father and has now been picked up already, parceled off and bought by Sean here. And we want to continue the movement to construct on this parcel. Soil borings have already been gathered from the previous site plan that was proposed to the county. We know that there's buildable area. Obviously, drainage is not an issue out here, as there's a massive amount of water being retained. The small area that's 5 acres that's proposed to be rezoned and built on resides in that kind of the southwest corner of that quarter there. I'm not sure if you guys have any documents in front of you or not. Mike, can we pull up the GIS on this area?
They have all of that.
Oh, they do? Okay, perfect. So that being said, you know, this is our first step of many to reach the finished goal here. We still have subdivision work to do, as well as then the site plan itself and everything that comes with those items. So we're here to ask if you guys have any questions. We're here to answer them. Anything the public might have to question, I'm here to answer. Please let us know. Thank you.
Do you have any comment, Rick?
Yeah, maybe fill in a few of the blanks. Yes, this was a long process of working with Mr. Matheny. This is a greenway designation. And when it first came across our office, we said, well, there's a purpose for that designation, it's conservation, preservation. Then we found, as Mr. Coro said, it was owned by a nonprofit conservation group called Waterfowl USA. And for some reason, it went up for sheriff's sale. Private individuals came across it. Mr. Matheny's father bought the 2 parcels. Somewhere in the midst there, they parceled off 5 acres, which, as Mr. Coro said, we'll have to deal with that after rezoning. We'll have to go through subdivision control at that time. Normally for greenway, a residential structure is allowed, but only as a special use exception. And then, of course, petitioner, anytime if they wanted to later add accessory buildings and all that, they would be continuing to come in front of the museum if we granted that. So that's one option we discussed, but the more straightforward option that staff concurs with petitioner's consultant and petitioner himself is simply to rezone it as RR, which is very compatible next to this particular greenway zoning district. And so that's what's before you today. And as they said, they got many more steps to go before a building permit is pulled. This is just the first step of that.
Thanks, Mike.
At this point, I'd like to open it up for public comment. Does anybody would like to speak for or against this project? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public comment. Kevin?
Yeah, this Waterfowl USA is a national organization, and sadly, they went bankrupt. They overextended themselves, and their corporate offices, being out on the East Coast, pretty much decided we'll sell everything in the Midwest, especially this area right here. They had a lot of land, and it was big news back in the day. But Brad Matheny bought it through the tax sale, or foreclosure, I think. How did he buy that?
It was a silent auction.
Okay. But I just wanted everybody to be aware that there are 2 regulated drains, one east, one west. They don't really affect this parcel that much. This parcel's on higher ground. It was very disruptive to the watershed down at the Boone Grove area. In fact, we had a lot of issues on County Road 550 South, and that flooded. Commissioner Morales is very familiar with it. It was very frustrating, all the things that were happening. We, as a county, had to come to some agreements with Water Power USA to lower the level of those ponds. Ironically, the geese and duck really like the water very shallow. They like to see their feet. So Don Roberts of Water Power USA and I went up, lowered the water level, but still the damage was already done to a lot of the system as a consequence to the surcharge from all the water. There is a lot of water there, but I think this has a potential for having a site, a building site. They've had the soil test done. We've seen this at BRC and started the preliminary reviews, so I don't see any real issues with it other than my personal disappointment that Water Power USA failed.
Great, good. Thank you. Brett?
I don't have any questions. I would just like to say, I know Sean's a big outdoorsman, so if there's anybody that, you know, would be great for 5 acres, I know it's you, because I know your love of nature and hunting and everything that you do. You know, I know the property would be in good hands, so.
Okay.
Are there continuing drainage issues right now, or has it been settled? I mean, I know you said you lowered the levels of the pond.
Yeah, well, that portion of it, I think we resolved those issues and we made improvements on the drainage ditches around it, but yeah, this is part of what's going to impact it.
Okay.
Greg?
I have nothing.
Commissioner?
No, I don't have anything. I mean, I know that spot. And you just want to build a home on it, if possible, right?
Home and probably a barn at some point.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that property. You know, like Mr. Brzezinski said, there's been some drainage issues in the past, but it did seem to help, you know, when they lowered that. We had mild winters, we'll see how that goes forward, but, no, I have no questions.
Would anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we forward a favorable recommendation to the county commissioners to rezone the parcel on 550 South, 450 West, for case ZO 2025-31 to rural residential from Greenway.
I'll second.
Red Cat.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, thank you. Usually Joy has a big stack of pens right there. Yep.
For case ZO 2025-31, the votes are as follows. Kevin Brzezinski, yes. Bob Gillian, yes. Craig Kenworthy, yes. Pamela Mishler-Fisher, yes. Redstone, yes. Vote carries 6-0.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Have a nice night.
Thank you. This will appear in the
Good luck.
commissioners' meeting in January.
Thank you.
We'll move on to case GO-2025-33, Good Oil Company, 597 West US Highway 30, Valparaiso, to rezone a parcel of land to moderate intensity commercial district for the proposed construction of a gas station, multiple office units, and parking lots.
Good evening. My name is Adam McAlpine. I'm with McAlpine Consulting. My address is 398 East 400 North, Valparaiso.
I cannot hear. Cannot hear.
Okay. Speak it up. Here tonight with me is David Duran. David, can we get an opportunity?
David Duran, Game Plan Solutions, 218 Sheridan Street, Crown Point, Indiana.
So again, good evening. We're here to present a proposed rezone for this property. The property is located at the northeast corner of Highway 30 and 600 West. It is 8.2 acres approximately, and what we have provided to you is still a conceptual subdivision development plan, but I wanted you to get a sense of what we're proposing to do since we're proposing to rezone the land. In addition, there's a three-dimensional rendering, which is pretty early, but important again for you to understand what our vision is for this property as we consider and ask for your permission to rezone from CH to CM. And we can get into the differences between those two zonings if you wish, but for now, just talking about CM and the proposed site layout, I want to turn your attention to that. I'll be talking more about some of the engineering matters, and then I'll turn it over to my colleague Dave to touch on some of the other aspects surrounding the development that should be considered with our request this evening. So touching on a little bit about the site geometry. As you look at the subdivision development plan, you'll see we're proposing a gas station at the corner, typical to many gas stations you've seen, 5,000 square foot building with perimeter parking and 8-pump canopy, and entrances off of Highway 30 and 600 West. Those two entrances would also be used and placed within easements so that the business owners at the eastern end of the site could gain access to their property and to their business. So it would be a shared easement, not a public one. It would be private, held by all the parties here on this property. And we're showing this as an 8-lot subdivision, although one of those lots is identified as the stormwater detention pond. So we've shown these lot lines are again still preliminary, but this is the reason that we need the CM zoning. The CH classification has a minimum lot area of 5 acres, whereas CM is much below that and allows for this type of use. A little bit about utilities. Again, still preliminary, but it's important to know what we're thinking at this present time. Not shown or illustrated on this plan is a 12-inch water main that's on the west side of 600 West. So that's nice. It goes up and ties into the school there to the north. And we are intending to tie into that. We believe there's ample pressure. We've reached out to Indiana American Water, at least preliminarily, just to have the early discussions, but these will be Indiana American Water customers that will tie in with the gas station and all of the proposed businesses. What we're proposing to do with wastewater is to create a shared septic field system that would be within an easement. We're showing it there at the west end of the development, and the gas station is the initial development to occur. And they would be in close proximity to it, but what we would do is we would create a stub out to the east for future extensions of wastewater, and depending on how this subdivision is constructed, There may just be a road stub that goes off to the east until there's some traction with this development, and then we would move forward with construction of the drive and extension of that utility. But overall, the bulk of the wastewater usage will be coming from the gas station, and the others will be relatively light users, small businesses with relatively low wastewater. A little bit about stormwater. It's within that middle 1 acre. It's a depressional area on the site. What you don't see are the contours, but my intention is to extend that to store the detention for the stormwater, and then an outlet to the west towards 600 West. And we'll get into that more during final design, and some of these lot lines may shift depending on what we discover during engineering. And with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you, Dave, to touch on any matters you mentioned.
Thanks, Adam. Good evening, Commission members, and thank you for having us here tonight. Again, I just want to talk a little bit about the impact that this had with the rezoning. I think we're pretty familiar with this location and its history there. It's been many different types of uses, and currently it's a car dealership that's at that location. It had many different restaurants and other uses there. I think we all remember what Wagner's was there, and that's a major corridor to the Wheeler High School as well. Just driving here tonight with the dealership being closed, that intersection was very dark, desolate, and if you were looking to go to Wheeler Middle School or High School, you might have a little trouble finding that intersection there. But that's not why we're here tonight. We're here to talk about the impact that this can have in the heights of that shoots. Obviously, US 30 corridor, being a designated state highway, a commercial corridor, carries already a large volume of vehicles on that corridor. So the main use of this property, as Adam was talking about, would be the fuel convenience store location there. So that's not going to generate additional traffic. You don't drive around to find a gas station. The gas station kind of finds you when you're in need of something like that, and the convenience side of it. But that large parcel, being 8+ acres there, gives it a unique opportunity for a county to think about long-term use and the highest and best use of that property, especially when it comes to tax base, low option income tax, other buckets that this commission member works with the vision of the comprehensive plan for Porter County to look at what's the highest and best use for not only your business owners, but your residents who live here in your community as well. So when you start to look at this plan here, it does provide some unique opportunities for a small business park there that provides anywhere from 10,000 to 12,000 square feet, which is right in that sweet spot for local mom-and-pop shops that are looking to expand or build a business within your own backyards and not be competing with the large developments that you might see nationwide. These are the fabrics, the backbones of your community, the residents who live here and provide businesses. So when you start to break down what can possibly be in this location here, the gas station convenience store could fit on this as its current zoning. But are you maximizing your tax base based on 5 acres, because that's basically all you have based on the current zoning? Or could you look at a $15 million development here outside with all the combined uses on this location here? We would be very, very cognizant. Obviously, we'd be going back to this commission for a site plan review. But we understand that with the residential neighborhood that does surround a little corridor there, we have to be very cognizant as well with landscaping, buffer zones, and things like that, to make sure that we're a good corporate neighbor and supporting their needs as well as this location as well. Some of the ideas that would be on this location would be some office space, showroom, or warehouse capabilities, where you'd have some large square footage spaces, but you'd have some office front and things like that in the front. It would be very pleasing to the eye driving by, working with the planning commission, the types of uses of the building materials. That would be what would be preferred for this commission and the commissioners themselves. So that's a huge impact to the community itself. Think about the construction jobs that would be developed in this. If it was strictly just the one use of this property, you'd be looking at about 60 construction jobs using local trades here in Northwest Indiana. Or we could have 150 construction jobs. That's something to also think about when you start to think about zoning changes. Permanent jobs, when it's all said and done. The gas station with the convenience store doesn't necessarily make huge impact to the local option and jobs creations, but when you start to combine that with the small business part, that really does make a significant impact. So we can look at anywhere from 5 to 7 jobs at the location, or we can start to look at 90 to 130 jobs that would make substantial contributions, not only to other places in here, to your schools, and the economic engine that you have currently built here in Porter County, but it's going to add to that local business. Then you start to look at the local option income tax that comes along with that. So there are a lot of different buckets here that to be looked at for positive impacts of this location here. And everybody knows, I'm sure the commissioner knows as well, with SU1 being something that's coming down here, you're looking at the future because your tax dollars are also being pulled from different directions when you start to support other services in your community. So we want to be a good partner there. We want to provide quality, not quantity, quality. And as this being developed with hopefully a favorable recommendation tonight to the commissioners, and the commissioners will look at this as well, we would work with you on the site plan development to provide something that everybody would be proud of that corner for the time to come. So we're here to answer any questions that may come from the commission members or the public that's here tonight.
Thank you. Mike, do you have any?
Yeah, if you look at the staff report, I think it's pretty complete. Maybe some additional color to that. Many people have been looking at this corner since I've been here the last 19, 20 months, and I'm sure other people have looked before. First of all, it's always been commercial sometime, probably even predating our 2007 latest zoning map. So there's always been some commercial entity there. I'm guessing when we created our new zoning districts in 2007, it was decided to be a high intensity. And high intensity is what it means. It's generally uses, if you look in your packet with high intensity, I've got moderate intensity up on the screen. These are your high volume in and outs of activities and things like that. Medium intensity is a little less. It shares a lot of the same acceptable uses that a high intensity one does. So there's some things that just correct for the record. Warehouse is not one of those in moderate intensity or medium intensity. It's only in high intensity. So we've just met with the petitioner at a pre-application meeting. They're desirous, I think, to try and create other useful spaces on the lot. They have options. One option is they can go get variances for each of those and leave it the intensity it is now, and it would be dealt with on a case-by-case basis based on variances. It seems, though, that also moderate intensity, because the uses are somewhat similar when they are in high intensity, you know, they could do that, then you can create lots as small as 15,000 square feet, which is roughly about a third of an acre. The challenges, they touched on some of those. Stormwater management is going to be critical because of the space they've only got just about 8 acres. And then the utilities, fortunately there's water there, but then you're going to have to deal with sanitary sewers, so that's probably a septic system of some kind. And that will be controlled by the state of Indiana Board of Health along with our code. So and definitely traffic is going to be a concern. They're going to create their driveways there. That's a state highway. They'll obviously have to work within that. NDOT will require a traffic impact study at that time, as will we. So we'll work hand in hand with what gets developed there in the future. So the choice is yours. You know, the petition is to downgrade in effect the zoning classification from CH to CM. That's what's before you today. You are free, after you hear all this at the end, you know, you can put conditions on it if you feel appropriate, things like that. But in summary, that's staff's recommendation. We're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. At this point, I'd like to open this up to public comment. Anybody who would like to speak for or against this project? You go.
There was. Maybe one start there and the other on standby over here.
Go ahead. You guys can go first.
Oh, sir.
You want me to go first?
No, he can go first, but you stand on standby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you have to wait.
Got double dip, huh?
My name's Ken Stowers. I live at 618 West US Highway 30. Our family's lived at that location since 1964. I know that's been commercial property, you know, forever. The Orr zoned it. I used to go swimming down to that swimming pool. I have some real concerns about this, and you mentioned it yourself, that it's a dark and desolate corner. And that's what we like about it. The traffic, I'm not sure, I couldn't agree with that about the high intensity, moderate intensity zoning, but I do have concerns about it being a gas station. One of them would be the interference in my lifestyle with the lighting and the trucks. I've seen some of your stores. You have, I think, 3 stores and 2 side ATM where they're there. And yet, you do a lot of semis in your locations. And I was wondering if that's going to be something that's going to be in this location as well, because we have that problem down Grand Boulevard and Highway 30, where they bring in a lot of trucks. It just gets more and more and more. The in and out for the traffic, the school buses is a concern. The light from, I could light from that particular location now, and I just see it being more and more of an interference. What would you be doing to rectify that or to appease that? So there's some other questions I have. I don't know how we can go from a high intensity to a moderate intensity with that and, having parking, taking trucks. So a lot of questions, and I just need some answers.
Great, thank you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name's Pete Boyko again, and I live at 235 North, 600 West. Basically south of proposed gas station, which to me, if he says it's a gas station instead of a gas and diesel, where semis can park in there, which he says a large parking lot or parking lots, to me it looks like they park semis in there and then causing a place where you have, I'm not going to say certain people come in there, and then you have other situations where instead of being a gas station and that, you have a motel type deal by them sitting in there all night. So that kind of concerns me. Also, the traffic light. Back in the 60s, when that light wasn't there was an accident there almost every week. And I know because during the time before this variance thing came up, back about 10 years ago or so, there was a proposal to build a big 20-acre lake just south of me. And so I took a survey of all the traffic and everything and investigated, and there was something like 30,000 to 40,000 cars, vehicles that passed that spot. So you're looking at a spot where traffic can have accidents, especially with the school. You got the grade school there, you got the junior high there, you got the high school. Yes, you have another route that goes out east, away from there by the sand, but you have industrial bulldozers and all that other stuff going that way too. So they don't like to go that way. They come out 600. Now 600 doesn't have a signal there. So you're looking at just yesterday. I was there sitting there at the light, the school was getting let out. I pulled up, there was 3 buses in front of me, 4 cars, so I'm sitting there, 3 buses were able to get out of there. So unless there's a signal there to help with the school buses and everything, and then you're going to have a gas station there where the kids can actually go and park and all that, and sit and whatever they do, hang out, then you're going to have all that traffic. Now you want to put, office buildings there and units? Come on. I mean, how much traffic do you want there? Right now, they can't even handle just the buses coming out of the school, or cars. I sit there at the light trying to turn to my house, I gotta wait 2 or 3 times before it turns green. So unless the state gets involved, sitting there with a gas station there, and office buildings, and a big parking lot where anybody can park, now you're looking at a lot of traffic, and I ain't just talking 1 or 2 cars. Now, you go down to the other traffic area where, where the speedway is, you can look there, they got a signal for their cars, 10 of them can go at one time. So that's a big, no-no to me. It's not set up for traffic right now, unless they get all that set up with turn signals and all that other stuff. So to me, he's talking about like taxes. Wait a minute, we just had a proposition set up for a multi-billion-dollar data center. They were going to pour in all kinds of taxes. wasn't gonna improve our taxes. My property taxes weren't gonna get lowered. All it was gonna do was raise it. So, he's talking about taxes, I don't think that's too big of a deal. Gas station, I could go with that, but not no office buildings and whatever else. So you're looking at, John that owns a property across the street. Now, I don't know if he's gonna be talking about it, but he came in there for a variance just to build a big pole barn. And there's 30 acres there, and that got turned down. Now, what kind of traffic does a barn have? I haven't the slightest. But I know a gas station and office buildings and a big parking lot does, especially 8 acres. Now, it's up to you guys how you're gonna vote and how you're gonna deal with this. But for lights and that, he's right, there is no lights in there. But it's no big deal if you get the right traffic lights there. So I just wanna let you guys know, I'm against whatever else he's saying on that part. Gas station, okay. Diesel, semis, that's a no-no for me. So, thank you.
Great, thank you. Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Mark Sadowski, 615 Ruster North, and I'm against the building of a gas station and also the a truck stop also. I am concerned, like what the gentleman talked about, the traffic impact is ridiculous. And what kind of impact will have on the environment also. And I just feel there's too many gas stations around there. Thanks for your time.
All right, thank you.
My name's Richard Ireland. I live just south of this property, the closest house to it south of it, 239 North 600 West. Now, I understand what's going on here in terms of the variance they're approving, and there's a really good reason to want to change it from CH to CM. And it is so that they can put so many businesses in this small spot. It's 8 acres. As you said, it's 15,000 square feet per business. So they theoretically could have 20 businesses inside of this spot. I don't think you can fit that many, but we're talking about a lot of activity. And as Pete said, you know, that road, the elementary school and the high school, most buses come down there, they don't have to go all the way to the schools. It takes them, you know, half an hour to clear out there sometimes. So even with modification of the lighting system and stuff, it's going to be complete chaos in that corner. I understand they have the right to put a gas station there, but what they're requesting is a variance that really expands that significantly to a large project. Within that area, you know, this is a residential area. People move there for a reason. I just moved there a few years ago. I moved there for a reason. I know I'm close to 30. I know there's traffic noise. But I'm also pretty far from commercial activity. This property is located more than a mile in any direction from any other commercial property. People live out in Pure. This is going to transform that and really change it. There's no other business parks or strip malls. And, you know, when they say they want to use it as a business park, okay, maybe, but maybe there's going to be a Taco Bell there and tattoo shop and whatever. Once this gets done, you know, it's pretty easy to get by in front of you guys and, you know, request a business that's already zoned for it. So, yeah, I think all of us that live in Rye have a big problem with this. Certainly it's commercial. They bought the property. Gas station seems like they have the right to do it. As far as the truck traffic, if it does do diesel, as Pete mentioned, the speedway down the road, you know, in Lake County, that if something like that would go in, the trucks with the schools and everything else, yeah, that intersection would be full of gas. So, and for the kids in the school buses. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tammy Showers. I also live at 618 West, North Highway 30. In front of my house is the sign that tells you that there's going to be an intersection, 600 West. That's how close we live to this intersection. It is already very difficult for us to get out of our driveway because of the increased traffic on Highway 30 already. You put a gas station in there, I will never get out of my driveway. If we don't have an access to get out of our driveway, it's just, we drive right onto Highway 30. It's already dangerous just to even come home from Highway 30 because we have to go on a turnabout to get back to our property. I've already got so much light pollution in our house from what it is now. There has not been active commercial there for a long time. It's being used, that there's not like people are coming in here every day. It's trucks are parked there. And it's been like that for years. I mean, I've been here in that house for 10 years. There's not been any active commercial use in that place where people are coming in and out. And now that will all change with this gas station. It's going to affect light, it's going to affect noise. For the people that live on Highway 30, that's residential, you know, my feeling is if you're going to do that, then everybody on Highway 30 in that area ought to be commercial. We ought to be able to be commercial property then, because you've lost the ability to sell it as a homestead. Nobody's going to want to live there.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to speak?
Yeah, my name's John Bednash. I got the property there on 600 West and Route 30 acres, the northwest corner. You mentioned something about the overflow on the stormwater going to the west. Well, that'd be going through my property. The county has already destroyed a lot of my property by not doing their job properly. They turned it into a wetland. The original culvert was 8 foot down, and it's a 4-foot culvert. Now, since NIPSCO ran that high-pressure gas line, the culverts are damn near on the surface. There's one 30-inch culvert. So that would increase the water coming into my property. So it just turned more of my property into a wetland. The county didn't inspect that ditch, the Paradigm ditch, when they put in the high-pressure gas line, NIPSCO. Because I checked with IDEM, there was nothing on any inspections.
Do you have anything else? No. Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak? For or against? I'll turn it over to you guys to answer some of the questions.
Yeah, there's some things we brought out of the gate, I think we can, help alleviate some of the concerns for the residents who spoke here. First of all, I appreciate them coming out. It means a lot to be part of the process. This is not going to be a truck stop. So this is going to be your typical 8-pump vehicle. There could be diesel for a diesel pickup truck, the passenger type of vehicle truck, but it's not a truck stop per se, okay? No large 18-wheelers are going to be allowed on the property except for the delivery of the fuel. So we're not going to have access to people that have trucks staying there overnight, places to park, and things of that nature. The other part about the lighting pollution, we're very tied in it as well. The properties that we're talking about as we move forward on our developments, we're trying to get dark ice designations, which means lighting pollution that's emitted from the property, stay on the property, it doesn't encroach on other people's property, so we're trying to get designations of that, so the neighbors doesn't see light coming from our properties and in the windows, and that's something we're trying to work with, because we understand that when you have buffering areas, especially on a commercial corridor like that, where residential is part of that fabric, we have to be getting better commercially to be welcoming to those neighbors. So we will definitely be working with that as well, to make sure that we're not impacting them in that way. There's going to be a traffic study on this as well to get there, so the traffic flow and any impact that we bring down there, we're going to have to be cognizant of that as well from the NDOT perspective and from the planning commission itself and the commissioners as we look to do different things in this property. We're also not opposed to, because we understand the business park here is strictly for small business owners. Hours of operation could be designated on this as well, that we're not going to be running during the night, so there's not going to be activity at night. We're welcome to those opportunities as well to make sure that it's daytime only type businesses. We're also welcoming to a stricter listing of your your CMs on here, so we're not putting restaurants in those other corridors in the business park. We're looking at 6 buildings in here, and we would designate that no more than 6, and maybe less if that's what the planning commission and the commissioners would want. So we're welcoming to put a canvas here opportunity at this location here. We're showing you our cards right up front, and we're willing to work with the neighbors and working with the planning commissioners here and the commissioners, something that would help them great from the ground level up.
And one other comment, just to build on that, is that we've already reached out to Indiana State Department of Health. And so early on, you have to indicate a number of things to estimate flow, so that they can, based on the soil conditions, tell you how big your septic system needs to be. So we're identifying these buildings as business park, roughly 200 gallons per day or some order like that. The primary wastewater user is going to be the gas station, but so I just want to share that with you because, you know, there's no restaurant that's coming in. That would completely change everything with our coordination with the State Department of Health. So, and that's a long process that we've already started to work toward getting the septic system designed.
I believe there's some comments about stormwater. You know, we're going to be cognizant of the fact that whatever is being created on our property needs to be maintained on our property and then flow correctly based on your guys' ordinances on its release. So it comes down to, again, we're very early in this stage. You know, for us to come out here and say, this is the final plan, this was just conceptual, without the proper zoning, we can't come here and show you exactly what is going to be on this property. But this is pretty much, you know, when you start looking at the warehouses and or office space that's out here and the gas station or the convenience store that sells gas, you know, all those release rates are still going to be computed based on what we approved, and we're going to make sure that we're better holding our end of our stormwater on our property and be better than the ordinance itself, so we are good forward neighbors.
Does anybody else, Mike?
Can I follow up on one of those?
Yes.
As long as it's new information.
It's just responding to something. So, Richard Iyer, 239 North 600 West. So, I mean, you're promising that you're going to set this property aside for certain things, and I respect that, appreciate that. But the request is for a zoning variance change. That's a significant part. To me, it seems like they're asking for a significant alteration in the current zoning. As the property currently sits, if I understand your regulations, they can have one business here. This is substantially different. Even if they say certain things in certain ways, opens a Pandora's box, the can is open. The commission could change over the years. Once they had this rezoned, they had, in the future, come with plus variances. They have different businesses put in there under the CM zoning. So that really does transform the property. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak? As long as it's a new question. Yes.
I would just like to mention one thing, and that is, before you guys vote on this, or whatever you're gonna do with it in previous, or in the future, can there be an assessment value of the property values that are gonna be around us, where they don't show that they're gonna be going downhill, instead of going up, with the taxes also, just because they're there? You know, with this office building, their playground and their gas station with the diesel and all that. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, John Bednash. When they had the restaurant there years back, it really didn't impact the traffic. People would come into the restaurant, stay there for 2-3 hours, and they'd leave one at a time. You know what I mean? It's not like a steady flow of a gas station where people are constantly coming in, and they're there 5 minutes and getting the hell out of there. So.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Mark Sadowski again, I got a building the gas station. One of the reasons I feel it's too close to the school, it could be putting more traffic. I'm sure, you know, cars will be leaving on US, and he could go on 600 watts. I just feel too close to the school.
Okay, thank you.
Nicole Ireland, 239 The other thing is right there, next to this property, is a fire station. Now, us living where we live directly across 30, it is very active all the time. They bring all this traffic in here, to the gas station, the diesel pump. It's gonna interact with how fast the first responders can get to that, and they're a product.
Thank you. Anyone else? Would you like to respond to anything?
I just, again, as this process goes through, whether the zone change comes or not, we're hoping it will. All the residents that are here will still be part of the process of the public hearings on site developments. So they'll have additional information as we continue to hold our word on what we're trying to put in this property here, especially the number of units and the types of businesses that would be protected after that location. And they'll have better results of traffic studies and impact studies that we're going to have that is required of us at that level.
Sure. So I'll have to go there. All right, this time I'd like to close a public comment. And Mike, you have something?
Before you begin your deliberations, maybe some comments. Right now, it's high-intensity commercial. They're asking for moderate or medium-intensity commercial. If they can meet all the standards, they can come build a full building permit, put a gas station there, with or without the zone. It's greater than 5 acres, it's 8 acres, so it meets the standard for CH zone. Automobile, that's the key word, is automobile filling stations. It says nothing about trucks. So trucks is a different story, so if we're going to be talking trucks, that'd be a different discussion, so it's restricted to automobile use. A comment was made, more than one business can go on that property, they just can't subdivide it. Someone would have to own the property, you could have the gas station, and over here they could have an office space, etc., anything that's approved under the standard of high intensity as it is today. The question becomes when they want to subdivide. If they want to subdivide, it would be impossible to do unless they pull the variance with the CH standard. So that's really the crux of the discussion here today. So we talked about the truck stop, the dark sky standards, things like that. That's all in our development standards. We're going to have to comply with all that. We have all that criteria already. Which brings up the point. If they got into subdivision, they have to appear before you again to ask for subdivision control. And it has to go to the commissioners. We all know how that works. So they got a lot of steps to do if they want to realize their total grade. They additionally have to appear before the Development Review Committee 1 or 2 times during this process. And there's US 30 arterial standards. US 30 arterial standards has a lot to do with the aesthetic look of the thing. It's different than anywhere else. We want something that doesn't look like a square box. We want it to have a little character. Setbacks are greater. Landscaping standards are greater. And a whole host of other things that they're going to have to meet. If they can't meet them, then they're going to have to go to the BZA and try to make their best case there, which is no guarantee that we will. And the traffic impact study, that will definitely be something in the top we'll be asking for, we will be too. So, petitioner has, and we were thinking this of staff ourselves, but petitioner has offered the thing that he could put our restrictions on when business operates. Stricter list. You can take your list that you see up there. You can choose and say these are allowed, these are not. You can put conditions on them. Just want to say, gas station's already approved, today, they want it. And the other is they talk about the number of buildings. So that's a discussion I would encourage you to have with the petition.
Mike, I have a quick question.
You speak in the microphone.
You said 8 acres, but I'm looking at the paperwork and it says 5 acres. Is it 5
Oh, no,
or?
that's Sean.
Oh, wrong one. Sorry, disregard that.
Those who we think are right.
Yeah, sorry,
It's, I
disregard
think,
that.
8.08 acres.
Yep, okay.
I'll make one last point before you guys take a vote. I think Mike brings up a great point, is the fact that if we had one owner of this 8-acre property, especially in the high-intensity side, we'd have a lot more flexibility within those rules to do things that I don't think would be very good to the neighbors. I think by us asking for the zone change, we're deferring to you and your commission members and the commissioners themselves to be the safeguards for your residents by going to that new zoning, because you have all the checks and balances on your side versus our side. And I really, from the public side, the private side, for us to just turn that over, I think is a positive stretch. We're going to try to be good neighbors here. Like Mike said, if we just had one owner, what you see here in front of you here, Danny, would probably, effectively could be approved as it sits today. Instead, we're having you guys be part of the people helping us drive this car in respect to the neighbors that are here and their concerns, and what the highest and best use that you would see going forward by cherry picking some little things on our list and some things you guys don't want to see in that corridor. We're giving that autonomy to you guys.
Kevin, you have any comment?
Well, I'd like to begin with, I think this was zoned this way from the very beginning when they introduced zoning in 1960. And it's been the heavy commercial ever since. It was another roadside attraction restaurant for a long period of time with a motel next to it that had living units that burned down many years ago. But and the car dealership that was there unlawfully. We pretty much told them that I think they had to cease and desist. They could temporarily store vehicles there from their dealership. They couldn't sell vehicles out of it. The either type of zoning permits for the gas station, but not for a truck stop. That would have to be a special exception or some kind of variance. There's just so many issues with this to begin with. To start with, they needed sanitary sewer for this property, in my opinion. That's one thing that will always give me heartburn, is having commercial property on septic systems. And ideally, it'd be great if they had a sanitary sewer run to them. I believe we'll still have them do some kind of study, the due diligence to show why that's not practical. But White Oak Conservancy District may be able to handle sanitary sewer. This is undoubtedly going to cost your client more to extend the services, but that'd be the best way to service additional buildings. I disagree with you when you say we won't have much control over it with the site plan you have now, but we will. Sure. To get your building permits, we look at every building.
I get your point. We're saying we're giving even more than control you already have. Yes, I agree.
There are good and bad things, and normally, to me, oh great, you want a downzone, but the reality is you're basically creating more parcels in a subdivision way because you don't have to be at least 5 acres with the zone you're requesting. There are many issues. They already exist. Mr. Bednash is right with the drainage as far as access. You're probably going to have to work some agreements with them. In the end, I think there's a natural flowage in that direction, but in a perfect world, we'd be looking at some easements along the way. And the responsibility for maintaining whatever infrastructure goes along with those easements. But that's kind of getting away from the zoning purpose today. I'm kind of on the fence, and I want to hear what everybody else says about this. It's got its good points, but there are some issues that I have with it.
Red?
I have issues with it as well. I have a big problem with the septic. I have a big problem with detention on it. While I'm not an engineer, I sit up here and someone has 10 acres of ground, and they're trying to get a septic with 10 acres, and there's problems and issues, they gotta jump through hoops. I own a 5,000 square foot building on 1 acre of land, and I think that's as much as I can cram on that. It's in a CH1 designation. This is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60,000, if I'm reading that correctly, correct? 10,000 per building? Yes. That's absolutely way, in my opinion, this is way too much. You know, and this is just from my point of view, you buy a property high, you know, the high intensity, you have every right to put your gas station on there. I understand you want to zone down to try and get more parcels on there. I get that. There's too much crammed in there for me. If it had been a gas station with one building or something, I could see that to try and utilize the other 3 acres of property. But this is way too much for me, and I just, you know, I know everybody wants to come in here and, you know, get a piece of property and you know, cram everything they can in there, but usually people are trying to zone up, not down, and we're zoning down so we can get more parcels of property on here, which, like I said, I don't like it at all. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah.
I agree with Red. Too many buildings on a small piece of property.
Good.
Well, I'm kind of running down the same road. We went through a thing a few months back with a subdivision about ingress and egress in case of emergency. And you pack this many buildings with the only egress going out towards a gas station. We need a better answer, because if something happens at that gas station, all these buildings are never going to get out, and they're going to be trapped. So if you're going to do something like that, in my mind, with this density, it needs another exit out onto another road. And without that, I cannot even, because what we went through with that last subdivision, right's right, fair's fair. So that's my thing with this.
Commissioner?
I feel the same way. It's just too much and too small of a piece here. You know, I mean, you'd have a right to put a gas station, but, I mean, it disturbs me a little bit that we're going with a septic system. I mean, like I've heard so many times before, people fighting for septic systems on just a simple 10-acre piece of property with a single-family home. I don't, logistically, this just doesn't make sense. I'm familiar with that area. There is a fire station down the road. There is a school, grade school, high school. This intersection has had its issues in the past, even though I understand some of those things possibly work out. But in this form, with zoning it down and adding stuff, I do agree with you about the entrance and the exit thing, just from a public safety standpoint of getting in and out of this. So, yeah, I mean, it's just not enough answers. Logistically, it doesn't work for me as well. It's too much and too small of a spot to zone it down, you know. So I kind of feel the same.
Mike, you have?
You know, those are all good comments, but board members are the things, you know, to really take into consideration. You know, you have options. You can vote to deny or approve. You could also continue and let staff work to direct, if you give the staff guidance on things you want to see, if there's a solution, like less buildings, less lots, secondary access, give petitioner time to rework their plan. If that's something you would like to see, if not, then you can continue on and make your motions as you see fit.
And we're making a motion to recommend to the commissioners. Ultimately, the commissioners will decide on this one.
They will, but you can recommend those conditions and send them up to commissioners with good reason.
Personally, I would like, I guess we're good.
Well, no, you keep going. No, we're just passing up.
We're good. I think I've said everything.
Would you like to add?
Yeah, if we could just touch, because these are all positive comments that, you know, we're here for the first time from the planning commission, which are very valuable to us. And just sitting here with us and the team here, we would, if we go from 6 units to 3 units, which would put those units on 1 acre parcels, would that something that would be better on the appetite of the planning commission here? Or would it be better at this point, if that's something we're considering, to have this deferred, to work with staff and bring it back with some of those other concerns you guys also had?
I would suggest you ask for continuance.
Yeah, I was going to ask if 3, because we respect the fact that I said 6 is too many. We get that, okay? We heard it loud and clear. You know, it's the extra 3 acres outside the 5 that we're we're looking to develop here, right? To make the highest and best use for this entire parcel there. With 3 units, be better. We would make that commitment tonight if that's the plan commission would want.
And I appreciate that, I really do. I just, and this is just me personally, it just always sticks in my craw. I know highest and best use, but, you know, like I said, I don't want to be Lake County. I want to be Porter County, and that's why I'm very I just want to make sure that we have good developments, especially on Route 30. I think the access is, and I think if you buy a piece of property, you have it as CH, and you know you're supposed to have it 5 acres, you kind of know what you bought, you know? I mean, you know you had 8 acres, but you could, you know, build on the 5 acres. So,
Well, it seems like it's not just an issue of the number of buildings, but as the commissioner had mentioned about, you know, the septic issue and then drainage issue. So I think there's more to it than just number of buildings.
We might have to investigate how far that, Kevin's point, where the sanitary is at, see how cost prohibitive that is based on the number of units there. Because obviously, if we were the commercial corridor, the broad sanitary that location, I can only imagine that the surrounding neighbors would be excited for the fact that they might be able to someday get off their own septic too, if we're looking at long-term planning, correct?
don't be shocked, I don't know, there's a lot of my neighbors, you know, they like their septic system because it's free, because every community is raising their septic rates, so, no offense, but I like my septic out in Liberty Township, so.
I do know that there is a
Served me well for a long time.
sewer line that goes, that feeds schools out there, and it gets pumped. Yes. So there is.
And I do like the buildings though, I mean, I like the, you know.
And that's the White Oaks Conservancy District.
Correct.
Yeah.
We'd be more than happy to ask for deferral, not that that's gonna change your mind on the next meeting, but it would give us the ability to talk to the residents, work with them more, take your feedback you provided today, which has been very, very valuable to our team, and see if we can do something that brings it back that's more appetizing to the planning commission before we render a vote. And the worst case scenario is we bring something that's back and it still doesn't meet your criteria, you can still make your decision to the commissioners as you feel fit, but it gives us a little more time, because, you know, we reached out to the residents, we had more comments here tonight than we had before, which is very valuable, and your comments are extremely valuable to our team as well.
I was gonna make the motion, but I would like to make the motion that we continue it. I do believe that by you coming here and working with us, I would like to see what we could do, with this. And I think, that's always a good thing, instead of just denying it. I always like to give the benefit of the doubt, but, that would be my motion. I would just say to
I'll second that
continue
motion.
it.
I'd be happy to second.
Give everybody a little time to
And I
look at
suggest you
this.
bring in more information about the traffic issues, the utility issues, and ultimately the drainage too. I second call for a
We have a
question.
second, so.
Who made the motion?
Red made the motion.
Red made the motion. Second was?
I'll take it.
Right.
I think you can just do a voice vote.
Okay.
Okay.
Call that.
Kevin?
Yes.
Red?
Yes.
Pam?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner?
So we're just gonna agree to maybe hear a different plan next time, is that what we're?
Correct, they can work with the.
Give them a little bit more time to, in my opinion, like I said, tear it down and get the utilities, get the septic, get the, all that.
Drainage, no.
We're gonna need to know that anyways, even if we're at a gas station there, I mean.
Well,
we'd
at
like
least
to
they know what we want.
Right. I agree. Yeah.
All right, I'm fine with that.
Because sometimes we get all sick.
Now, we're not agreeing to anything tonight.
Right,
I
right.
appreciate all the folks coming out tonight. My apologies, but I think this is a better way to do it.
Now, if I could ask the board members in the public meeting to give staff direction in talking to the petitioner, what are the things you want? If you could list those.
Number of buildings.
Number of buildings, septic,
Egress.
egress.
Drainage. Traffic.
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 say egress, what we're really talking about is secondary exit.
Yeah. Emergency exit, something.
Especially with that many buildings, like I said, I mean, just speaking, like I said, for me, if I was building a gas station, I would have to ask for maybe one building and been happy with one, but
To put it in context, John Howell Drive, off the Silheby in Valparaiso has a Family Express station just north of 2, west of 49. Red Robin Hotel, several businesses are at the end of that street. It's a make a left-hand turn at that intersection. And this one would be the same, I would think. It's just, it's a challenge.
I also want to get a pulse on from you guys. It's a long list of approved uses. On there is something like a drive-through, or a restaurant with drive-through.
Well, they said they would not put a restaurant.
yeah.
Understood, but I just want to hear from you, what kind of business or operations based on the use?
You know, Mike, and I know I'm new to the Plan Commission this year, but one thing I've always wondered is, of course, we're zoning down, which is gonna make you have more parcels. But, I always wondered when people zone up, in this case you're zoning down, everybody says, we're not gonna do this, we're not gonna do this, and then 5 years goes by and they say, we have the zoning, we're gonna do this. That's what I've never liked that about the zoning. Like, I think if you zone up or down, you should say, here's my plan, this is what I want to do, instead of zoning it, and then 5 years later, you find out there's storage units next to you because it's zoned for that.
Well, that's when we do zoning with commitments. There should be a list of commitments
Okay.
to go with it. In this case, I suggest that the petitioner also have a list of uses that are not going to follow.
I think I get the drift, but to answer your question, Commissioner Stone, when they go into zoning and we have a list of permitted uses, they're free to put in one of those uses in they want. I've seen zoning before where they go in, like around the hospital. I believe when that was zoned for the hospital, they had other zoning around the hospital, but they put a condition on the ones that had anything related to automotive could not be there. In other words, they couldn't have a gas station, they couldn't have auto repair, et cetera, like that. Those were allowed in those zoning classifications, but they put that as a condition upon the granting of the zone. And that's kind of what I'm suggesting. I think I get a feel for where you're going, and we can work with the petitioner on a list, and they could maybe present that to you, what would be for you to consider conditional uses for this property. Would that be acceptable to you? Okay.
Yes.
Can I ask a question? Come up and ask a question. I know that.
Is that over the public comment?
Just ask what's
Okay,
to me.
question is, as a gas station, like Speedway's got the Subway in there, or Burger King, or whatever, is that okay in a regular convenience gas station?
They can't have a drive-through, but they can have a Subway inside there.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering.
But not a drive-through.
Yeah, one comment, since I just wanted, before we,
Sure.
but I want to ask.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we want to be very transparent because your residents are here, and we want to make sure that they hear this directly because we value their time to be here, because I know it takes a lot of time for them to be here as well. Is that we are going to, we appreciate the vote for the continuance, and we're going to try to work through those issues. If we cannot see a path to overcome your objections on that for the rezone, we'll probably just continue with the current zoning as is and file for the petition, or our application for the convenience store for the fuel station as it sits today. That just gets back to my point, Kevin, when I said, the control, uses and sources was the rezone would give you guys, so you can add those conditions on that rezone off that list that could be omitted. But we just want to make sure they know, everybody here knows that we're going to have to make those decisions internally. And so if we decide to go another route, we'll formally then let Mike know and put a formal letter to our removal of that continuance. So we just want to be very transparent with that. So you guys have been great to us. it'd be great for them to come out, and we just want to continue that communication.
That's very great, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Moving on to staff report, update on the comprehensive plan.
Comprehensive plan moves ahead. I think I reported you last time, we did have the steering committee meeting, and also met with a lot of the business community and economic development people in the county. After the first of the year, we're going to be having some more public meetings with it, to present some preliminary findings to the public, and get them weigh in on that. Part of the comprehensive plan was also look at the Willow Creek Road overlay district, half a mile either side of any proposed Willow Creek alignment. Last night we had that meeting, it was an open house style format. People were free to come, we had a workstation over there, we had 4 workstations total. Got about 40 people show up. We were there from 4:30 to 7 o'clock last night. A lot of people are concerned about the Willow Creek Road itself. I just want to make it clear for the record, the design of Willow Creek Road is by another consultant going a different path. All this overlay was a promise that the commissioners made in 2023 when they had a public meeting, that they would look at a land overlay if a Willow Creek Road went in. So that's a part separate, it's a different consultant, they're not even working with the designer. This is something we're doing ourselves as part of our comprehensive plan. As far as the Willow Creek Road, the design, we're still waiting for the federal highway and the Louisiana Department of Transportation to sign off on our preliminary draft of the environmental study. We're hoping that we will see that in the first quarter, beginning the second quarter next year, at which time we'll have a public hearing. You're staying to hear all this. We'll have a formal public hearing where recordings will be made for the record. People from NDOT will be there just to monitor, take all the comments. The comments have to be incorporated into the final document for a final decision on that project. So more to come on that later, but at least we had the overlay meeting, first overlay meeting, and we'll be asking more input from the residents later.
Mike, was the overlay meeting a public meeting, or was that just...
We did send out notices to all the newspaper, news media, such as the radio station.
Okay, I didn't see one. Did you invite any of the board?
No, not personally.
Okay, well, email.
But, two, it was also on social media, we did reach out. There's a small group of people that have been against it, and we've been working with them, and we'll give it to them, and they also posted it on their social media pages.
I just want to make sure, because if I have somebody from Union Township call me and say, why didn't I mention it to them? I didn't get notice, so
we sent it out to all the media, forcing them to print it. It's not like it was in the news. Update on the Planning Commission subcommittee meeting. Some of you attended that meeting. I thought it went very well. We have 10 members, 3 citizen members, 3 professional members, and 4 members from this body right here. I think it was a good introduction of what we're going to be doing, what we're looking for, a little education along the way. So we're going to hit the ground running coming toward maybe the end of January next year. We're going to have some assignments, we're going to start bringing some things to the committee. Just a refresher, the point of the committee is it's a place for staff to run things by this committee before we bring it to you. Maybe we can vet it, fine tune it, make sure, we got it pretty right before it even comes to you with full explanation. Of course, then anything that you do is simply a recommendation to the commissioners. The commissioners will have the final say of any changes. So I think that's going well, and it's very well received. So thank you for everybody attending. And then the last thing is approval of the 2026 meeting calendar. Did Monica send that out to you?
I haven't seen it.
I don't have it with me. She did put it in the pack. I'm taking the place of 3 people here, so I don't have it. So I will distribute that, and we'll maybe vote on that in the next meeting.
Okay.
That's all I have, unless you've got questions for staff.
Do you have a date for the next meeting?
I think it's the same.
Same Wednesday or
Yeah, I know that was in that last email that...
The 3rd, is it?
Maybe not.
What are we, bear with me for a second.
Isn't
This one's a
four?
special meeting because we normally don't do the November meeting, we just do it in December. Let me look in a second.
So, it would be January.
Yeah, but isn't it the fourth Wednesday of the month?
I think you're right there. Let me look in
Well,
October.
the BGA meeting, it's on the 21st,
And it's the third.
It,
so
okay, mine's on the fourth, okay.
So, October 1st. BZA is the third Wednesday.
correct.
And I believe Plan Commission is the fourth Wednesday.
Which would be the
Therefore, the
28th?
fourth Wednesday in January.
Would be the 28th
The
of
28th.
January.
Yes.
Okay.
So let's make that official, 28th of January.
Yes.
And we'll bring the rest of the calendar for the year, which is always going to be the fourth Wednesday except November and December. So that's really what it is going on in January.
Anybody got anything? Motion to
Motion to adjourn.
adjourn?
Second.